Am I hitting it or?
We're live. No, you're not hitting nothing. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday to all of you from She Rises Studios and Phoenix TV. My name is Hanna Olivas, and we are in our second week of live She Speaks. And my guest today is Adriana Luna Carlos. She is the CEO and co-founder of She Rises Studios and Phoenix TV. And I thought she would be the absolute perfect guest to have on today to talk about collaboration, how women can build thriving communities, and a little bit about She Wins. So before we dive into the topic, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you? Maybe things people don't know.
Ooh, what do people not know? Well, a little bit about me. I would say that my background, just from before this company ever existed, was I'm big into music. I've always grown up like learning how to play instruments, so I love music as a whole in its entirety. I'm very big into vocals, so listening to people sing, like I love watching The Voice. So just like little things about myself, I would say I'm just very down to earth, simple. I love sports, love music, and baking. So that's what I would say is different about myself, or reintroducing. But loving to write, loving to connect with people. I'm very big on psychology, so it's fun to get to learn people. And I think this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. If we're talking about learning people, collaboration, and how we integrate that. So I think this is going to be a fun topic to dive into. I'm excited to go over it.
So, when you think of the word collaboration, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
I would say unity, coming together, and sharing, being open-minded.
How important do you think collaboration is going into 2025?
I think it's going to make a big difference. I mean, there's so much happening in the world that this is like the time that we need it more than ever. And it's like we kind of have to relearn it. There's so much that we've lost through time in the past 4 years. Once COVID hit, it really changed a lot of the dynamics. It kind of isolated people, and made them feel alone. So I think that this is going to be something where I feel like we're finally getting back to where we were before COVID, right? And business is coming back to in-person events. Not everything is online. It is a big change, and I know it sounds kind of funny to some people who don't feel this way, but I think it's a really big change, because it's been hard for people to
Mm,
understand, like, people care, people want to be there, they miss the in-person, they miss listening to people's voices when they're right in front of them. It's different when you hear them online versus in person. It's like, whoa, that's what that part sounds like. And it just, you reconnect. We're human. So our roots, is all about being personable, and that human touch and excitement again. And yeah, I think it's going to be a big difference in how we spark the communities and spark love and hope within one another.
hmm. So, we're transitioning into the end of this year, 2024, which, if you ask a lot of business owners, especially in the women's space, this year has been challenging um, in building thriving communities, in the collaboration. So, one of the ways that I thought you and I could share some of how we have navigated through times today versus when pandemic hit is really sharing the knowledge and skills of collaboration, like what it really means, which is why I said when you say the word collaboration, what comes to your mind? And it's really simple, right? It's our voices. Collaboration is our voices, and they don't have to all have the same beliefs or speak the same because each voice is unique. But a part of collaboration is utilizing our voices, sharing our stories, and really sharing the skills and knowledge that we've learned in business, right? So this is one of those ways, us coming on live, talking to our communities and saying, hey, look, there is power in collaboration. There is power in building thriving communities. Women can do it. But there's a knowledge and a skill set that's required. So that's kind of what I wanted to break down with you today. And what is one way that's possible to really elevate and expand the collaborative effect that we need to see happen? What's something that really stands out to you?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about expansion, it's all about our networks and how we foster, how we grow them, how we really make them solid. So I would say growing our networks, and that can happen in a lot of different ways. Us reaching out on Facebook is a very easy way to do it nowadays. Any social media platforms, to be honest, but Facebook seems to be pretty quick. Like you're gonna
Mm,
get a response pretty quickly. But I would say reaching out to your audiences who you don't normally connect with, but you've been curious and interested in, like start a new conversation with someone that you kind of seen around, but you haven't really had that chance to talk to. I know you do it all the time. You're like, oh yeah, I've been seeing this person and I just wanted to reach out. And you're like, it always, something good always comes from it. So I would say really just try to live through the fear and push through the fear if that's what's stopping someone. Just try it. And in your own way, reach out to somebody. So I would say growing your network, fostering it, and seeing what people need, how they can help you, how you can help them.
mm. I love when I've been on both ends where someone from social media reaches out and says, hey, I'm so and so. I've been following you. I'd love to know a little bit more about you. Can we talk? Which I love when they're sincere. Now, when we get those, hey, would you like to increase your clients 20 times more a month? Or did I say something wrong? Like those types of things I run. But when someone genuinely reaches out and says, hey, you know what, I'd really like to talk. Here's what I'm working on. Share a little bit about you. It becomes a conversation. And then their other side of it is through social media, I've seen women, particularly, because that's what's mainly on my social media, share things that they're going through in life and business where I don't know them. We only know each other on social media. And I'll send them a message and say, hey, I know we don't know each other, but I'm thinking of you, praying for you. If there's something that myself or my community can step in and do, please let me know. And you would be surprised how many women are lifting their hands up for that type of, like a pull me up. I'm
Yeah.
here. I need some help. And that to me is part of building that thriving community that we're talking about, which then later, maybe it does turn into a collaboration, or maybe it turns into a connection for life. Someone that is in your Whoville. And I'll shed a little bit more on what the Whoville means later. But I think it's important now more than ever that we cut out the superficial. We start showing up in person and online, but authentically, creating those safe, thriving communities that we're talking about today. What do you think, Adriana?
Yeah, I mean, it's essential. I think it's all, like I said, all about unity. Like you said, even if it doesn't turn into something where you're collaborating in a business sense, you now know that you have a for lifer, someone who's going to be there for you and support you, and that they can feel and trust you in that same way. Like, hey, I would love if this message can be shared. And it'll get to the point where you don't even have to ask them. They just know. Like when you go and post something, they're going to be like, oh, I can help with that. And it's so fun and cool to see when people jump in. It's like, oh man, that really touched your heart. So
Yeah.
yeah, just learn about each other. It's fun.
So one of the other ways that I thought, we create thriving communities is amplifying voices and causes of others, not just our own, but listening to what other women are championing for.
Mm.
who they are like, this is so important. An example, mental health. We have so many women in business who focus on mental health. And I know for you and I, that is very near and dear to our hearts. So, how can we collaborate? How can we elevate and show support for a cause that is outside of something that we do in the norm day to day?
Mm.
And my thought is we elevate them through the platforms we've created. We make our platforms tangible to them, easy for them to utilize to get their voices, their causes out to so many more. That's a collaboration too. And it's important. We're not always just speaking she rises language. We're speaking we rise language, right? Because the we is important. And if there's more of the we happening, you will see such a growth in your own communities, in your own business. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And you have to spark the conversation, right? We got to spark the conversation. So just, I love when I see some Facebook pages and people just write one question on there and
Mhm.
it starts that conversation. You start to see like, oh dang, I got a lot of responses. And then you get curious and you're like, oh, I want to see what people wrote about this because I feel something about it and I am
Mhm.
curious about it. And so when you spark those conversations, it leads to something. And then you get that next email or message, and it's like, hey, let's do something about this. How can we work together? So you just never know what's going to come of it. And when you go in with the pure intentions of just voicing,
Mhm.
supporting, it turns into something truly magical, unique, shared experience. And then, um, yeah, just it's real. It's like you don't have to put so much pressure on something. Just let it be and go in with pure intentions. Like I said before, just pure intentions. We don't always have to get something tangible out of it. It could just be the fact that we had a shared experience.
I love that. So let's talk realistic for a second. Now, collaboration is a term that is used a lot. Thriving communities are words that are used a lot. And there's also another side to that. What do you do as a woman entrepreneur when another woman entrepreneur wants to fight against collaboration or tip your crown or be competitive? How do we solve those types of things in the communities that we're trying to make thrive? How do we make it a safe place? How do we combat against things like that?
I don't know if there's an easy answer to that, but there's always going to be multiple approaches to anything that we do, right? So I would say first try to find out what the issue, like the heart of the issue, what it is, to see if like there's just a misunderstanding, right? I always try to break it down, like, well, okay, what caused this friction to occur? So, number one, assess. That's what I would always say for anything in life. Number two, ask questions. Try to find out, like, is this a solvable thing? Like, can we come to a mutual agreement? And if that's still not the case, then you say, you know what? It is okay that we disagree. Perhaps we're not the right fit for one another, and you kind of just wish them well. If you're not sure still, like if you're not sure which way to go, ask your community, like get some feedback. Maybe not publicly, like maybe not make a full on post and everyone's diving in, and but maybe reach out to your close, people and ask them on a one on one conversation, and see what feedback they give you. People come up with some very insightful ideas and ways to work through something because they've maybe gone through it. So I would say reach into your community for sure.
So we're in the process of building a new community um, called She Wins. And I was hoping you could share why you personally felt that this community is needed, because this is definitely a collaboration of many, many women.
Well, okay, so firstly, for those who don't know what She Wins is, it's a new campaign that that we're starting, that we've already kind of started. And to me, it's really a movement. It's time for
Mhm.
this change. It's really needed. And I think we've all known it, but we've always been afraid. Like, you don't really see too many people going about this. So it's called She Wins, Nice Girls Finish First. And it's She Wins because when you support your fellow woman, like you're winning, you're helping them win. And it's not a competition of who gets there first. It's about supporting them and letting them be on their journey. You're on your journey and you're not causing and tearing someone down. So I would say that, one, it's needed because it's time to break down the mean girl stuff. I will say I've been fortunate in my life where I didn't have a lot of like bullying going on in schools, but like I saw it. It's not that I didn't see it. And what I've always done was if I saw someone going through that first, I was the kind of person that's like, hey, I'm gonna pull this person aside. Like I didn't like say, hey, to the other person, stop talking like that, this and that necessarily. Like I usually kind of went for the person that was having a hard time stand up for themselves. I was like, hey,
Mhm.
can I talk to you for a second? I pulled them aside, got them out of that situation, and I talked to them. I said, "What's going on? If you're comfortable to talk about it," and they usually did. They kind of break down a little bit, but I'd help them because I wanted them to know that somebody was out there who cared, who maybe if I didn't go through it personally, I could understand it, and I wanted to, be there as a support for that person. And they were always super grateful. It turned into long-lasting relationships and friendships, and it's just about remembering, hey, we're all human and we don't have to tear each other down. Like it's just not necessary. So when you empower that person that has in that moment lost their power and their courage and their support by you giving it back to them, they can go back and stand up to that other person because it really needs to come from them. It really you that person needs to be like, "You know what? I know who I am. I'm solid in who I am, and you have to like back off," you know? So I think it's about empowering that person who's felt suppressed. That's what I wanna do with this. And you might have a different mission within it, but that's how I feel. Like I wanna show that, give that power back to that person. But it's bigger than this. There's so much involved, and I can't wait to break it down further.
I I think for me, the She Wins project for me is as a child and as a young adult, I wasn't really bullied in school, high school. I was a social butterfly, but I did become a victim of bullying in my adult years. In fact, over the course of the last 11 months in business, I have been bullied by a few different women. And in the personal, I have been bullied. Um, and it's very debilitating when someone is constantly trying to knock you down. It's exhausting, and sometimes I would get lost and wouldn't even know what I was fighting for. Um, Whether it was my voice, I started questioning my own. Am I doing something wrong? Have I hurt this person? Is there something I can fix? I internalized everything instead of real like doing what you do. You're able to step back and assess, and I'm stepping in and assessing. So I think that She Wins is going to help women who are wanting to find their power, to stand up and know that it's okay to be a nice girl. We don't have to be mean. Like you said, we can all win. And this is more than just um, writing about it. This is a movement. This is a movement that we have soft launched over the last couple weeks. It fully launches December 9th. And you would be amazed over just the course of the last couple weeks of women who have shared their stories of being bullied in business, of other women stealing their ideas, of being bullied in life, in college. I mean, this behavior to me is no longer acceptable. So I think She Wins is going to be about leadership, kind, effective communication, really teaching women how to not fight in a mean way, but stand strong. which we just had a book come out called She Stands Strong. That's
Yeah.
coincidental. But it's really, and then really showing, you know, if you lead by example, it's contagious. The positivity can be contagious. And maybe some of those mean girls don't even know they're being mean. They might not even recognize it. So if we're leading by example and we're showing that this is a safe space, this is a safe place, we can talk to each other with kindness. We can have similar business ideas, yet execute them differently. We can make mistakes. I mean, let's talk about that for a second. As business owners, we make mistakes all day long. Everybody, not just She Rises, but everybody. So when we make a mistake, we apologize. We try to fix it. Like there's so many different levels of She Wins that I'm this one, if there's anything that I've been excited about since we created She Raises Studios, our first was becoming an unstoppable woman movement, which that will never end. But this one in my heart supersedes. This is the one. And I'm so excited to elevate our younger generation, like you and even younger than you. Because if we teach our littles not to be mean girls, but to be strong, and we're going to see a difference, because you are my future and the younger ones behind you, they're your future. And that's how we need to start thinking about collaboration, building these thriving communities, elevating, celebrating, educating women. And we have to stop the mean girls.
Yeah, I would say I even not forgot, but like I didn't, when you asked me about like what kind of I've been through, I feel like I almost blocked out like what you said about the last 12 months even. But yeah, it was new, like because we've obviously go through what we're going through together, right? In the sense of this online bullying and harassment, it's like it really is, one, exhausting, and two, it's new. Like we didn't experience this before. Neither of us as growing up in this way. And so when you are like so thrown off of where this is coming from, why it's happening, how can we fix it? This is where I know that this movement is needed, because
Mm,
there's more people than just us that are like, this is happening for the first time. And not only is it happening, but it's happening at full force.
mm,
100%, like those people are on it and in the attack mode. And it's like, what the, they're going full speed and we're over here walking like, so out of it, and you get knocked over. You get knocked over pretty hard, you're scratched and bruised up, and all you're seeing in that moment is the pain, and
mhm,
you feel it, right? So it's like, how do you patch up those marks on you? How do you comfort yourself? How do you pick yourself up and then, confront that? So I think that like even for us, this is going to be a healing experience. It's needed, and people need to know it's happening, because it is. It's happening to every person all around the world, from a single individual to countries being bullied, right? Like this is just on a global thing, and nobody is talking about how we need to help one another, how we can do it. And instead of pointing out flaws, how are we similar? How can we fix what's been broken? I mean, a lot of this, to me, because I told you I love psychology, it stems from how we grew up. How were we raised? Who raised us? What stuff did they go through?
mm,
Um, some of us had both parents, some of us didn't have any parents. Maybe we're in the foster system. And fosters, children typically feel super alone in this world. So I can only imagine what this is going to spark, the kinds of changes we're going to see. And there's going to be things that we didn't even know were going to be talked about that are going to come from
mhm.
this campaign. So this is a
I
big deal.
I agree. And I think too, that saying hurt people hurt people.
Hmm.
And I was driving the other day, I was taking Sophia to school, and I listened to the Christian radio station. It gets me going in the morning. It keeps me grounded. And there was a song that came on, and it says, "When we forgive, we're set free." So part
Oh
of
yeah.
She Wins, part of collaboration, part of being a woman in business and just a woman in life, period. Forgiveness is key. So for those of us who have experienced bullying, the way that we pick ourselves up and put ourselves back together isn't with duct tape, but it's with forgiveness. It's with strength. It's like we're putting on our armor. We're forgiving. We're moving on. We're standing strong. We're speaking out. We're sharing our voices. We never blast who the mean girls are because they know who they are. But we focus on the goodness. We focus on the healing. We focus on growing our businesses. Because here's one thing I know. Two things I know. Entitlement and empowerment cannot coexist together. And if you are being a mean girl, you do not have time to run your business or your life. You're always in the trauma. You're a traumaholic. And we have an author who wrote about traumaholic. She wrote a book called Naughty Girl. You should read it. It's really good. So choose to be the nice girl, because nice girls do finish first. It might take a little longer, but there's so much power in the kindness than there is in the meanness. And that kindness builds collaboration, thriving communities. It gives women a place that is safe to share their stories, to share their brands, their businesses. And you know what else exists in She Wins and collaboration? Humility. My absolute favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Humility. Because it doesn't matter if you're a six-figure income earner. If you're a mean girl and you've lost all humility, what are you teaching your clients? I had a lady tell me, well, I have 3 million followers. Like, that's how she talked to me. I have 3 million followers and I have this award and I have that award. And I said, well, that's great. Good for you. Me too. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about genuine connection. We're not talking about validation. We're talking about a genuine connection, a genuine collaboration, a genuine outreach. So remember that, ladies, the bigger your business grows, the bigger your humility needs to flow. Never forget that aspect.
Yeah.
So collaboration, how women entrepreneurs can build thriving communities, is a lot of what we shared today in She Speaks Live, which is why I thought Adriana would be perfect, because she has a younger, fresher perspective. She is our future. I'm her mama. And she's one of the many young women who are going to champion collaboration, who are going to champion She Wins and show what nice girls in business and life look like. And can you imagine having someone like Adriana teaching your young daughters, granddaughters, nieces? I mean, I think it's pretty awesome. So you want to say anything else before we close out today?
Um, I'm not sure, but I would just like, it's just still so crazy to me, like, to know. So some of the things that we've been, kind of said, I even got something, and this is funny to me. I always we joke about this, right? Inside She Raises Studios. I got someone to say, "Oh my God, you sound like," via email. I sent out an email. They're like, "Oh, you sound like a robot." And I was like, "What the?" And it was just so funny to me because if anyone knows me growing up, I'm just this very, personable individual. And I've never experienced anything like that. It wasn't until like you do business online and people have they come over with like such agitation, or they've been hurt. Like you said, hurt people. But it's insane how much there's gonna be things that are broken down, and that we have to come bring it to light so people can see it for what it is. And like you said, some of them may not even know they're doing it, because to them that might have been like, oh, maybe it was funny. But like those things stick with you. They really do. Um, and so I think it's going to be very interesting to break down what is happening in the world today and changing, like you said, the narrative. It has to happen. These cliches and these things that are said because it's repeating itself. History keeps repeating itself, and I'm tired of seeing the cycle
Mhm.
continue. We need to stop it in its tracks and make a new type of a cycle of she wins, nice girls finish first. But no, I think that's it. I think it was a really fun, enlightening conversation, and I hope it sparks inspiration in people and camaraderie. Please share this post, this live, and send it to someone who may be feeling down and disempowered, and
Mhm.
knowing that there's initiative taking place right now behind the scenes, and it's going to come to the forefront. Please share this. Comment about how, some of the experiences you've been through, what you would like to see happen within this. How can we bring your story to light and be your voice, or how you want to share your voice? We want to hear from you.
And I would just say, if you want to connect with us, you can go to sherisethestudios.com. There's lots of ways to connect. There's a contact page. You can locate our social media handles there. You can join the community from there. There's just so many different things. And, we are really focusing on elevation of women. Moving into 2025 and going forward, it is time for the change. We want to be respecters of women's mental and emotional health, their business health, their physical health. All of these things are important. And that's what She Rises Studios is about. That's what She Wins is about. And wait till you see some of the extraordinary women who have joined this initiative, which we will be releasing beginning December 9th. And I'm so excited for it. And more importantly, I'm excited to do this with my daughter. I think that's just the icing on the cake for me. So,
Yeah,
are you ready?
I'm ready. I hope everyone else is ready. It's happening.
It's happening. So, collaboration, how women can build thriving communities, is by elevating one another, having kind conversations, and really changing the narrative. Build safe spaces and platforms for women to utilize their voice, show up, and shine. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for She Speaks. And we will be back December 5th, I think it is, or 6th. We're skipping next Friday because it is the day after Thanksgiving and everyone will be shopping. But these are always Fridays at 8 a.m. And I can't wait to tell you who my next guest will. You'll see Friday. All right, everyone. Thank you. Bye.